is a lie, part one. Let's go. The evolution theory is a lie, part one. Now, they say that the monkey evolved into humans, aka Africans, and then Africans migrated out of Africa, which I'm going to show in the next slide, into colder climates. And then basically this African black male went into a colder climate and lost his pigmentation. But what they're not telling you is non-black people are not human. They're 93% human, 7% Neanderthal. They're considered hybrids, which means just because you go into a cold climate does not explain how you obtain 7% of Neanderthal DNA. Mind you, black people today don't have any Neanderthal DNA, just like we didn't back then. And so the question is, how did a black person migrate into a climate and obtain Neanderthal DNA that even today we still don't have? And so this is a lie, okay? This is a rose in the summertime. This is a rose in the wintertime. You want to know what's funny? The rose still has its pigmentation. Flowers have melanin, okay? They have chlorophyll, okay? The only difference between human melanin is we have iron in our blood and plants have magnesium. If we was to switch to iron and magnesium, the plant will have neuromelanin and then we will have chlorophyll. Only difference, okay? Plants even produce melatonin at night, just like we produce in our brain. So plants have melanin. This is a scientific fact. And so if the rose in a cold climate still did not lose its pigmentation, how the fuck did we lose ours? How did we get calcified pineal glands? How did we lose 7% of our DNA? How did that happen? And so this is bullshit, okay? Climate ain't never been responsible for changing nobody's DNA, okay? Ain't nobody going for that. They got Eskimos that still pitch black. And then on top of that, if people really did change skin pigmentation due to being in the cold, everybody around the planet Earth would be the same exact skin color at any given season, at any given time. It wouldn't be no such thing as skin color. Skin color would be predicated upon and determined by where you live in regards to your climate and weather. And so everybody in America during the summertime will be black. Everybody during the wintertime will be white. There will be no such thing as white or black people. We will be one people who change like chameleons. Okay? So get the fuck out of here with that weak shit. Now they say, okay, Africans migrated out of Africa and went to these cold ass regions. Okay? This is where they say we went. All up in Russia, all up in Asia, all up in Europe. Excuse me. All up in Germany. And they say we turn white up in here. Okay? Now, this is my question. Okay? They say we migrated to these areas and we turned white. That's a nice theory. But what about black people who were already all over the goddamn planet? Okay? What about black people who was already in South America? What about black people who was already in North America? What about black people who was already in Japan? The Nagas. What about black people who was already in Australia? What about black people who was already every fucking where on the planet Earth? Where did they migrate to in order to become white? Okay? Where did they migrate to? So are you saying if black people migrated to these areas, are you saying that these areas were already empty? Are you saying that Australia was here and nobody was no black person was already in Australia? Is that what you're saying to me? Are you saying that North America and South America was here, but nobody was already, it was empty? This whole motherfucking continent, top and bottom and central, was empty. Is that what you're telling me? Is you telling me that China was here, okay? And Asia was here, and it was empty, okay? Is that what you're telling me? And so that this is trash. But the main question that I want to have is, why would Africans leave a thriving civilization for no reason? Okay? Why would black people leave an abundance of resources and food to go live in the cold? Okay? Why would you do that? What sense does that make? Why would niggas who in Africa, who have an abundance of food, okay? Who have an abundance of food, who have an abundance of resources, who have a beautiful climate, who have an abundance of animals that don't exist nowhere else on the planet Earth, why would they pick up and leave and take their ass all the way to the mountains in Russia? For what? What was they trying to do? Please explain to me. Because normally when somebody migrate, it's due to a scarcity in food. It's due to survival reasons. Or it's due to natural disasters that force a population to migrate. Nobody just gets the fuck up and migrate for no reason. Okay? So somebody please explain to me, why the fuck did black people say, you know what? Fuck Africa. We're gonna go live in the goddamn mountains where there ain't no goddamn food. We're gonna go live in the Caucasus Mountains. Why did black people leave Africa and move to the Caucasus Mountains for? Somebody explain that to me. For no reason. Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Okay. Evolution theory is a lie, part 2. Okay. Blacks / albinos versus whites. Okay. And I'm going to go into detail in this a little more in the presentation. But I just want to let y'all know. Let me turn my volume up because I got a video I'm about to play. I just want to let y'all know an albino is not a white person. Okay? An albino is still an African. Let's get that on the wax. Okay? Albinos are still 100% human. White people are only 93% human, 7% Neanderthal. Black people have a Homo sapien bone structure. White people have a Neanderthal bone structure. Hence, thicker skulls, thicker bones. Now, whatchamacallit? Black people have neuromelanin. Okay? European people have what is called pheomelanin. Now, when we talk about hair follicles, black people have flocculus. White people have canine and primate hair follicles, as well as Dravidian people, Indian people, and all other non-black Neanderthal people. Now, we have functioning pineal glands, okay? White people have calcified pineal glands, period. Black people were originally Rh negative. White people were originally Rh positive. Rh stands for rhesus monkey. And so that being said, how did a black person or an albino evolve into a Neanderthal and evolve into a canine and a primate-based organism? You can't explain that. That doesn't happen. And I'm going to break this down in a minute. I'm just working my way up. Okay, let's go to part 3. See, now I'm going to let a white person tell you. This is a professor speaking on genetics, and I'm going to let him tell you that only Africans are 100% human beings, and that white people are 93% human, 7% Neanderthal. Neanderthal is primate, it's monkey. Let's go. Listen. Here we go. Let me play the tape. Let's go. Hold on, y'all.
Now, really, this is going to sound silly, but this is really, really important. Cutting edge genetics. One of the areas I'm really lucky I'm blessed to work in 3 distinct areas of biology: immunology, genetics, and reproduction. And on the genetics side, I get to go to conferences and hear about advances in genetics in all species. And I was just at one a couple of weeks ago down at the Cold Spring Harbor Lab in Long Island, and I learned a bit about what's being known about the genome of Neanderthals, the genetic makeup of Neanderthals. That the genome sequencers, led by Svante Pabo, who works in Germany, has taken tiny little fragments of Neanderthal bones, isolated DNA, and determined the genome of the Neanderthal, and used that information to determine, using genetic methods, how long ago Neanderthals and humans were a single species, where the common ancestor was. They've also been able to compare human genomes and ask the question of whether there's any evidence of Neanderthal genes in the human genome.
Listen up.
And they found that there is. And the amount is quite significant, upwards of 5 to 7%.
Okay, listen.
Neanderthals used to live in the Neander Valley.
You see, he got the European up there.
You could call it the Cayuga Lake Basin, but that's where they lived. And out of Africa came the modern humans.
What?
And the word the geneticist uses admixed. They admixed with the Neanderthals.
Listen.
And they all used to live in caves in those days like this. Came out of Africa, admixed with the Neanderthals. This was Neanderthal territory. There was another group of Neanderthal-like creatures called the Denisovans. They lived up here in Siberia, and they have their genome has been sequenced. They were distinct from the Neanderthals, and so you can find in people of European and Asian ancestry evidence of about 7%, 5 to 10% of your genome is common with that of Neanderthal.
Bam.
We've been separated for 30,000 years.
You heard him.
And in the
Europeans and Asians,
Papua New Guinea, in those islands up there, there's evidence for a different kind of genome, which is probably the Denisovan genome. And they might have 7% Neanderthal and 5% Denisovan. So they might be 12 or 15% different from us. And in fact, the Africans who came up from Africa have no evidence of any Neanderthal genes in them. No evidence of that mixture. So they're the real pure humans. Homo sapiens.
Heard what he said, right? Africans.
It's really interesting. It gives you a lot to think about.
Heard what he said, right? Africans are the real humans. You heard what he said. Africans are the real humans. And somebody in the crowd started looking crazy. He said, right. And you heard the white lady start laughing. See, we're not going to play them games. We're not going to play them games. You heard what he said. Let's keep it moving. Look. Come on, keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Look. The evolution theory is a lie, part 3. Okay? And I'm going to come back to this a little later in the presentation, but I want to prove my point. Okay? What genetic characteristics will give the brain of the monkey the ability to evolve into the brain of a human. Okay? The monkey is not a reptile. Where did the monkey get the proteins to evolve the reptilian part of the brain? Where did the monkey get the proteins to evolve a pineal gland? Okay? Because a cobra has a pineal gland. A monkey don't have no goddamn pineal gland. This is why our ancestors put the cobra on their head or use serpents for spiritual divine purposes all across the world. Okay? Because we share a sacred spiritual essence, okay, that we call serpentine energy. Even the Kundalini energy, we call that the serpent energy. Okay? And so that being said, where did the monkey get the proteins from to evolve into an organism which contains reptile-based genetic constructs that it in its original form did not have? Cut that shit out. Cut that shit out. Look at the frontal lobe of the human brain and look at the frontal lobe of the pineal gland of the human brain compared to the monkey. The monkey does not have a neuromelanin nerve tract. It don't got a pineal gland. It don't got a reptilian part of the brain. It don't have so many different things that I can break down. It doesn't have flocculus. It doesn't have dipple antennas that we have in our skull. Okay? How did the monkey's hair evolve into coarse Negro hair? Okay? Or Negroid hair, as science will call it. You can't explain that. You can't explain that. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. The evolution theory is a lie, part 4. This is by Dr. Fazale Rana. This is called The Neanderthal to Human Link Severed. This is from April 1st, 2003. He said, over the last 5 years, astonishing advances in ancient DNA analysis have provided remarkable insight into Neanderthal genetics. As a result, the evolutionary connection between humans and Neanderthal has been severed. In other words, evolutionary biologists no longer think of Neanderthals as the transitional species linking to primitive bipedal primates such as Homo erectus to modern humans. This is a doctor telling you that they believe that evolution theory is bullshit. 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 And so miss me with that. Miss me with that bullshit. Let's keep it moving.